Now, the next main incident was the Ghazwa of Muraisi or Ghazwa Banu Mustaliq. Both terms are used to refer to the same event. The tribe was Banu Mustaliq and the location was Muraisi. Alright, Muraisi basically was a pond. Not a lake, because in the middle of the desert you don't have lakes, but a place where water would collect, rainwater or something like that. It would collect, and this area was known as Muraisi. So the tribe that lived here was known as Banu Mustaliq, alright, and the area was called Muraisi. And this area was located between Makkah and Medina. So where is it? In the south of Medina, north of Makkah. Now, the Banu Mustaliq, they were close allies of the people of Makkah. Alright? And they were their allies since the time of Abdul Muttalib. They had made alliances with the people of Makkah through Abdul Muttalib. So it's quite old, this alliance. Alright? And the Banu Mustaliq, they were no ordinary tribe. Alright? First of all, they had alliances with the Quraysh, with the people of Makkah. And secondly, they had the idol Manat. Remember that the mushrikeen, they had certain major idols, right? Lat, Uzza, Manat. And these are mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Al-Najm. Alright? So the idol Manat, it was with the Banu Mustaliq. It was in Muraisi. Alright? So you can imagine that this was also a busy place. People would come in order to dedicate their, in order to offer their sacrifices and all to this idol. And also, because they were close friends with the people of Makkah, the people of Makkah, they found this basically safety zone, alright, closer to Medina. You understand? Because if they went out of Makkah, on the trade route, the Muslims could come and fight them. Alright? But because of the presence of Banu Mustaliq, they were safe until they reached the Banu Mustaliq. Beyond Banu Mustaliq, the area between Banu Mustaliq and Medina, that was the danger zone for the mushrikeen of Makkah. Alright? And also at the battle of Uhud, remember that the Banu Mustaliq had helped the mushrikun. They had helped the mushrikun. Many of their people participated in the battle of Uhud. They financially helped the people of Makkah in the battle of Uhud. And now, the Banu Mustaliq were preparing to launch an offensive against the Muslims in Medina. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ heard about this, you notice how so many people were planning to attack Medina? One after the other. And the Prophet ﷺ is so proactive, he finds out, right? And then when he confirms the news, he's so proactive, he goes before the enemy can come. Either cast terror into their heart or fight them and break their power so they don't have the strength to come and fight the Muslims. So here what happened, the Prophet ﷺ sent a particular companion by the name of Burayda radiallahu anhu to confirm the rumor. So Burayda radiallahu anhu, he went to the Banu Mustaliq pretending to be a Bedouin, and he went and spoke to the chief and he said that, look, I have heard that you are planning to attack Medina. If you are, please let me come with you so that I can also have a share of the booty. Alright? Because at that time, if anybody wanted to make quick money, what would they do? Join someone who was going to raid another tribe. Alright? So when you raid another tribe, you take whatever you can. You catch 2 people, you get 2 slaves. You catch somebody's horse, whatever, you get a free horse. So you understand Burayda radiallahu anhu's trick? He said that I have heard that you are planning to attack Medina. If so, let me join you so that I can also get a share of booty. I need money. So the leader, he said, sure. What did that mean? That they are going to attack Medina. So Burayda radiallahu anhu, he pretended to stay with them, alright, in the night. And as soon as night fell, he ran off to Medina. He told the Prophet ﷺ, and the next morning, the Prophet ﷺ took 700 Muslims with him, and they went straight to Banu Mustaliq, and they attacked. And when they attacked, what happened? Because the people were not expecting it, alright, they were not prepared. And it was early morning. They were not prepared, and it is said that the men, basically, they fled. Because it's easy for them to run away, right? So the men of the Banu Mustaliq, they fled. Even their leader. Alright? Who's left behind? Children, women, old, sick, or some men, they got left behind. And what else did they leave behind? All of their camels, their sheep, everything. So there were very few casualties, alright? But what happened? 1,000 people were taken as captives, alright? And it is said that there were over 2,000 camels, 5,000 sheep. Now all of this is brought back to Medina. So this was a massive victory for the Muslims with very minimal effort and hardly any fighting. Now, very important events happened after this victory. First of all, we learned that the captives, the 1,000 captives, they were divided amongst the people. Alright? Because remember that at that time, the custom was that prisoners of war, what happens to them? There were no jails. Alright? They didn't have such infrastructure where they could support people in captivity. I mean, they barely had food themselves to eat. How could they provide 3 meals a day to prisoners? Alright? So remember that earlier also at the Battle of Badr, when the captives were brought in, what was done with them? They were kept in the houses of the Muslims. Right? Even the Prophet ﷺ had Suhail bin Amr as a captive. Right? So, but this time, what was done? That the captives were distributed, and the custom at that time was that captive, basically he's a slave. Alright? Now this happened. The daughter of the chief, her name was Juwayriya. She was a princess. She fell in the hands of a particular companion, Sabit radiallahu anhu. But she said to him that, look, I'm a princess. I don't want to live as a slave. Alright? Let me buy my freedom from you. He said, sure, no problem. Because this is something that the Muslims are told. In Surah An-Nur, we learn that if there is a slave who wishes to buy his freedom, فَكَاتِبُوهُمْ. Right? Then make the kitaba with them, meaning make the contract with them, let them buy their freedom, and وَآتُوهُمْ مِنْ مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. Give them from the wealth that Allah has given you. Meaning, the master is told, you also financially help the slave buy his freedom. Meaning, waive off some of the cost. Alright? So some of the payment. And other Muslims are encouraged that you help the slave buy the freedom. So what happened? Thabit radiallahu anhu, he agreed. So Juwayriya, she went straight to the Prophet ﷺ because he was the leader. So she went straight to him and she said that, I want to buy my freedom, please help me. Now what happened? Here, the Prophet ﷺ offered Juwayriya something which completely changed the fate of the entire tribe of Banu Mustaliq. What happened? Because the Prophet ﷺ knew who Juwayriya was. She was the princess, the daughter of the chief of Banu Mustaliq. Who are the Banu Mustaliq? Allies of Quraysh. They're wealthy. They have the idol manat. They have a very good reputation. They are well respected. Juwayriya is no ordinary woman. So the Prophet ﷺ said, how about you marry me and your mahr will be your freedom? Meaning I will pay for your freedom. Alright? I will pay Thabit. Once you're free, you marry me. He gave her the choice. He didn't force it, nothing. He gave her the choice. Juwayriya said, sure. Because she's a princess, right? Who's the Prophet ﷺ? Qurayshi, and also a leader. So Juwayriya thinks, my father, he's abandoned me. God knows if he's gonna come or not. Where are my people? I don't know. They just left us. They just ran, leaving us all behind. So you can imagine how angry the women are with their men. This is pure betrayal, right? That you run off, leaving us behind. So she says, who knows if they're coming or not? I have a good offer. He's the leader. He's a noble man, right? And now she's in Medina. She's looking at how the Muslims are. She asks Thabit if she can purchase her freedom. Thabit says, for sure, no problem, right? And she thinks it's a very good offer. So she says, sure. Now she has a home. If she gets married, she has a well-respected position in Medina if she gets married to the Prophet ﷺ. Alright? So what happened? The Prophet ﷺ married her. Now when he married her, her blood relatives are in the houses of the Muslims as slaves. So what happened? Some Sahaba, they said this is not right. The in-laws of Rasulullah ﷺ, our slaves? No way. Set them free. So all of the Banu Mustaliq were set free. All were set free because of the Prophet ﷺ's marriage to Juwayriya radiallahu anha. Now what happened? After a couple of days, the men of Banu Mustaliq, they realized our women, our children are in Medina. This is not right. We should go get them back. Because it's a huge disgrace for them. It doesn't befit an Arab man that his wife is taken as captive, his daughter is taken as captive. So after a few days, the chief Al-Harith and his men, they come to Medina in order to talk to the Prophet ﷺ, strike some deal with them to let the captives go, to let the people go. But when he comes, he sees everything is different here. Our people are free. What's going on? And he goes to the Prophet ﷺ asking if he will let his daughter go, Juwayriya. The Prophet ﷺ said, ask her. It's her choice. If she wants to go with you, go ahead. So basically the Prophet ﷺ is giving Juwayriya radiallahu anha the right to divorce. If she wants. What happened? Juwayriya radiallahu anha, she said, no, I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. So Harith, he was so affected by this because now he's interacting with the Muslims, he's interacting with the Prophet ﷺ, he's looking at his own daughter, how happy she is over here. He was so affected by this, he embraced Islam. When he embraced Islam, because he was the chief, what happened to all the people of Banu Mustaliq? They also embraced Islam. When they embraced Islam, the Prophet ﷺ appointed Harith as the chief of his people again. Alright? He was the chief again. All the people are free. All their wealth is returned to them. And they go home. They go home. Everything goes back to normal. What's the difference now? Before they were on shirk, now they are upon Islam. Before they were enemies of the Muslims, now they are friends with the Muslims. Before they were allies of the Quraysh, now they're no longer allies of the Quraysh. How did this happen? What was it that shifted the entire thing? Marriage to Juwayriya radiallahu anha. Now, we see the hikmah behind the marriages of the Prophet ﷺ. Because many Muslims even find it difficult to accept. Why did the Prophet ﷺ marry so many women? There was a reason. There was a reason. Because with every marriage, he helped the Muslims. Every marriage was a cause of spreading, strengthening Islam. There was hikmah behind that. And you see, Juwayriya radiallahu anha, he gave her the choice. If you wish, you marry me. And later on when her father came, if you wish, you can go. But both times, what does she choose? The same thing, companionship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now another thing happened when the Muslims returned from Banu Mustaliq. And what was that? That the hypocrisy of the munafiqun was exposed. It was revealed. It became very, very clear. How? It is said that a small fight broke out between an Ansari youth and a Muhajir youth. A small fight, an argument. And the Ansari boy, he said, Ya Ansar, help me. And the Muhajir boy said, Ya Muhajirun, help me. So you see what's happening over here? They're calling their own people. Alright? Now, when this happened, the Prophet ﷺ, he came and he basically discouraged the Sahaba. He said that this is something that is foul. That this is from the Jahiliyyah. Leave this. This is not good. So immediately the Ansar, the Muhajirun, they calmed down and they resolved the situation. However, Abdullah bin Ubay, when he heard about this, he was on the one hand very happy that finally the Ansar had looked at themselves differently. They had separated themselves from the Muhajirun. He was happy with this division. And at the same time, he was very angry. Why was he angry? That the situation got resolved so quickly. Right? He wanted this conflict between the Muslims because he was not happy with everybody accepting the Prophet ﷺ. He was not happy with the Muhajirun coming into Medina. You know how some people have a problem with immigration? Right? Abdullah bin Ubay was that man in Medina who had a huge problem with immigration. He didn't want any outsiders in Medina. He said they're a financial burden on us. They have taken our lands and we have shared our wealth with them. They're a big burden on us. We have to get rid of them. So when he learned of this incident, he thought, great, But why did this get resolved so quickly? So basically in his anger, he said certain things about the Prophet ﷺ, about the Muhajirun, which were very, very disrespectful, and there's no need to repeat them over here. But anyway, one young companion, Zayd bin Arqam, he heard that conversation and he went to the Prophet ﷺ and informed him that, Ya Rasulullah, this is what Abdullah bin Ubay was saying about you. This is what he was saying about the Muhajirun. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he called Abdullah bin Ubay and he asked him, did you say this? Abdullah bin Ubay refused point blank. He said, no way. I didn't say this. He was lying. And he began swearing oaths. By Allah, I didn't say this. And what happened? Zayd bin Arqam was really sad. Because the Prophet ﷺ accepted the word of Abdullah bin Ubay. So now who looked like a liar? Zayd bin Arqam. And he was a young child. Alright? Now what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Suratul Munafiqun at this occasion, on the return journey to Medina. Surah Al-Munafiqun was revealed. إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ قَالُوا نَشْهَدُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُهُ وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَكَاذِبُونَ. Allah bears witness that the hypocrites are liars. اتَّخَذُوا أَيْمَانَهُمْ جُنَّةً. They have taken their oaths as a shield. Because Abdullah bin Ubay kept swearing oaths by Allah, by Allah, by Allah. He kept swearing oaths again and again. So when a person is swearing oaths in front of you, how are you meant to reject their word? You have to accept it, right? So these ayat, they exposed Abdullah bin Ubay. Alright? Now, Abdullah bin Ubay got even more angry. Even more angry. That now Qur'an is being revealed against me, exposing me. So what happened? Abdullah bin Ubay, he said, that when we go to Medina, then we'll see what happens. The one who has more izzah will expel the one who has dhillah. The one with more honor will expel the one who is with less honor. So basically he's saying, I am more honorable. When we go to Medina, I will make sure that I expel Muhammad ﷺ from Medina. This is basically what he was saying. And Allah revealed an ayah in Surah Al-Munafiqun that يَقُولُونَ لَإِن رَجَعْنَا إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ لَيُخْرِجَنَّ الْأَعَزُّ مِنْهَا الْأَذَلُّ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quoted the exact statement of Abdullah bin Ubay. Now what happened? Umar radiallahu anhu, he offered the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, allow me, just order me and I will take care of this. I'll finish him off. Because Abdullah bin Ubay, his hypocrisy was evident. If Allah is revealing ayat about what Abdullah bin Ubay is doing, what he's saying, there is no doubt about his hypocrisy. But Abdullah bin Ubay, this whole time, he's pretending to be a Muslim. And you see, the interesting thing is that Abdullah bin Ubay went on this expedition. Why? Because the journey was short, victory was guaranteed. Booty was huge. This is why he went. And this is actually mentioned in the Quran. That if the journey is short, victory is guaranteed, gains are more, then they will come along with you happily. But wherever there are risks, there are dangers, they come with excuses that we cannot come. So anyway, the Prophet ﷺ did not allow Umar radiallahu anhu that no, you don't do anything like that. But the son of Abdullah bin Ubay, his name was also Abdullah. Alright? He went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said that if you would like my father to be executed, then let me do it. Because I don't think I can see another man walking around Medina who has killed my father. Basically what he's saying is that I'm afraid that this relationship of blood that I have with my father, that will cause me to become angry. But it's the right thing to do. My father should be punished because of what he has done. So if you are going to order anybody to assassinate him, order me, so that I cannot take revenge from anybody. You understand? This is how sincere this Sahabi was. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, no, your duty is to be a good son and companion to him. So Abdullah returned, and he basically went in the entrance of Medina where the army was coming in to Medina from. He went and stood there with his sword, uncovered, ready to strike. And when his father, Abdullah bin Ubay, approached, he said, you cannot enter until the one with honor allows you to enter. So he did not let his father enter Medina. And Abdullah bin Ubay had to wait until permission was sought from the Prophet ﷺ. He allowed Abdullah bin Ubay, and then Abdullah bin Ubay entered Medina. Now this entire incident, what happened? It exposed the reality of Abdullah bin Ubay. Up until this point, there were many Muslims who were with Abdullah bin Ubay, who were influenced by him, who got affected by his words, who would listen to him. But when this incident happened, the reality of Abdullah bin Ubay was exposed, and so many of his supporters abandoned him. Many of the people who were influenced by Abdullah bin Ubay, now what happened? They left him and they became sincere believers. So you see what happened? And this is the reason why the Prophet ﷺ did not allow that Abdullah bin Ubay be killed. Because if he had him killed, then what would happen? The Ansar, his blood relatives, would become angry. Right? They would become even more upset. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was so calm, and he let the things unfold themselves, and subhanallah, khair did come about. Now one more thing that happened, that Abdullah bin Ubay, you can imagine how angry he was from inside. What did he want to do? He wanted to take revenge, to get even with the Prophet ﷺ. So what happened when the Muslims reached Medina? Soon they saw that a companion by the name of Safwan radhiyallahu anhu, he is coming towards Medina. He's leading his camel, and on his camel is the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Alright? Now when Abdullah bin Ubay saw them approaching, he said, something bad has happened here. So in other words, he's saying that this was a plan of Safwan and Aisha, na'udhu billah. They stayed behind deliberately. They did something wrong. They did something haram. And now they're coming into Medina, pretending that they got late. He's accusing Safwan and Aisha radhiyallahu anha of zina. And this is known as ifk, the lie. The lie. And in Surah An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed several ayat about this incident, that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ جَاءُوا بِالْإِفْكِ عُصْبَةٌ مِّنْكُمْ لَا تَحْسَبُوهُ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ بَلْ هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Don't think it to be bad for you, it's actually good for you, because much good came about from this. وَالَّذِي تَوَلَّى كِبْرَهُ لَهُ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. That the one who took the greater share of it, for him is a great painful punishment. Alright? And who was that who took the greater share of this? Abdullah bin Ubay, because he started this. What happened was, this hadith is mentioned in great detail. Aisha radhiyallahu anha herself has reported this incident, in which she says that whenever the Prophet ﷺ intended to go on any journey, he would cast lots between his wives. Right? To be fair with them. So what happened on this journey? Aisha radhiyallahu anha, it was her chance, so she went along with the Prophet ﷺ. But what happened? That she said, when the Muslims were camped on the return journey, they had stopped, it was announced that we're gonna leave pretty soon. So Aisha radhiyallahu anha, she said that I went to use the bathroom. And she said when she returned to her camel, she realized that her necklace was missing. She had lost her necklace. So she went looking for her necklace. Alright? And when she came back, they were gone. Everybody was gone. So Aisha radhiyallahu anha said that, realizing that they had left, when she didn't see them in the distance, she just stayed exactly where she was, because she realized that eventually they will figure out that she's missing and they will come to look for her. So when they will come to look for her, they'll find her here. So she stayed there, and she said, waiting, she fell asleep. Now Safwan radhiyallahu anhu, his job was to stay behind the Muslim army a day or so, alright, or a few hours at least, and, go the same route to make sure that in case something was left, something was forgotten, he would bring it. Alright? So what happened when he came, he saw somebody sleeping, and he recognized Aisha radhiyallahu anha, and he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And Aisha radhiyallahu anha, she said, that is all I heard from him. She got up, he brought his camel, she sat on the camel, and she said, the whole journey he didn't say a word to me. The whole journey, he didn't say even a single word. She said when she got to Medina, she didn't know about what Abdullah bin Ubay had said. Alright? And when she reached Medina, she fell ill. And she was sick for an entire month. And she said, this whole month, nobody ever told me what happened. But the Prophet ﷺ, he was distant. His behavior was different. He was kind of quiet. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she didn't know what to make of it. And one night, she went to use the bathroom with a particular friend, Mistah. And when they were coming, Mistah tripped over something. And in her anger, she said, "May Mistah be ruined." So she's basically cursing her son. So Aisha radiallahu anha looks at her surprised. "Why are you cursing your son? He participated at Badr. If you're angry at him for some reason, realize the fact that he was at Badr. He's a muhajir." So Mistah said, "Don't you know what's going on?" Aisha said, "No, I don't know what's going on." So then she told Aisha radiallahu anha about the lie, the slander that Abdullah bin Ubay had started, and that her son Mistah was also one of the people who was saying that yes, Aisha had done something wrong. It wasn't just Mistah radiallahu anhu, it was also Hamna bint Jahsh radiallahu anha, the sister of Zainab bin Jahsh. Alright? And it was also Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, the poet of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These three people, they also sided with the slander. Alright? Meaning they said that yes, this happened. They accused Aisha radiallahu anha of the wrong. They basically felt, they got affected by the propaganda of Abdullah bin Ubay. And, we think the Sahaba were like superhuman beings and perfect human beings. They had imperfections also. They made mistakes. So when Aisha radiallahu anha found out, she said, she wept and wept and wept, and she asked the Prophet ﷺ to allow her to go to her parents' house. She didn't talk to the Prophet ﷺ about this. She went to her parents' house and asked her mother, "Is this true?" And when her mother confirmed, she said she wept the whole night. It's like her tears would not stop. And then she said that one woman from the Ansar came and she wept with her. And Aisha wept and she's weeping. Both of them were crying together. And then the Prophet ﷺ came and he said to Aisha that, "Look, if something wrong has been done, then seek forgiveness from Allah. Allah is forgiving. And if you haven't done anything wrong, then Allah will, reveal your innocence. Then you don't need to worry." And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said to her mother, "Say something." Her father, "Say something." "No, we can't say anything." So Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that you have heard so much about this propaganda that if I were to say that I am innocent, you're not going to believe me. And if I were to say that I am guilty, which I am not, you would believe me. So I am just going to say, "Wallahu al-musta'an ala ma tasifun." Sabrun jameel, beautiful patience, Wallahu al-musta'an ala ma tasifun. And Aisha radiallahu anha at this time was very young and she's quoting Quran. Okay? So what happened? At that time, the Prophet ﷺ received revelation. The ayat from Surah An-Nur about the incident of Ifk were revealed. The Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha, "Good news, and your innocence has been revealed." Her mother said, "Aisha, thank the Prophet ﷺ." She said, "No, I'm not thanking him. I'm only thanking Allah, because he revealed my innocence." Now, the three people, the three Sahaba who participated in this ifk, they were punished with the punishment of qadhaf, which is 80 lashes. It's revealed in Surah An-Nur. Abdullah bin Ubay was not punished, because again, he was a leader. And if he was punished, that would cause huge problems, right? And also the ulama say that the main reason why he was not punished was because he was not even guilty from inside. He didn't even feel bad about what he had done. And Allah did not wish to purify him. Allah did not wish to purify him. So his punishment in the hereafter will be worse. It will be much greater. So imagine this incident, it went on for an entire month. Alright, this ifk is going on. Aisha radiallahu anha did not know. The Prophet ﷺ loved Aisha radiallahu anha. And Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was talking to her mother said that, "Ya Aish, every woman who is loved by her husband, people are envious of her. So you know that your husband loves you. Right? So this is just a trick that people have come up with to hurt you." And we learned that at this time, the Prophet ﷺ asked some of the companions that, "What should I do? What do you think?" And some, like for example, it is said that Ali radiallahu anhu, this is reported, that he indirectly suggested to the Prophet ﷺ that just divorce Aisha. Because, Allah has given you so many other wives, right? If she's innocent, no problem. If she's guilty, you're free of her. Now, Aisha radiallahu anha, when she learnt about this, she was so angry with Ali radiallahu anhu that for the rest of her life, whenever she would have to mention anything about Ali radiallahu anhu, she would not even take his name. You know, there's so many ahadith in which we learn that Aisha radiallahu anha is saying that a man came. Okay, a man came. Now, who is that man who's coming into the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who could it be? It was Ali radiallahu anhu. But Aisha radiallahu anha would not even mention his name. And this is normal. It's natural. Another companion, he said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we don't know. I mean, we only know good about Aisha. She's the daughter of Abu Bakr, right? And if you need to know about her, ask people who are closest to her. So they called Barira, who was a freed slave of Aisha radiallahu anha. And she used to live with Aisha radiallahu anha. And when she was asked, what do you know about Aisha? She's so nervous because the Prophet ﷺ is interrogating her. What do you know about Aisha? Is there anything that would give you, a warning sign that perhaps Aisha would do something like that? And Barira, all that she can come up with is, she sometimes forgets to knead the dough, and she leaves it outside, and she falls asleep, and a goat comes and eats it. This is the only sin of Aisha that she can remember. This is how beautiful the character of Aisha radiallahu anha was. But imagine a whole month goes by like this. No revelation came regarding this incident. And there's beautiful ayat regarding this in Surah An-Nur, guiding the Muslim community regarding these matters. That if you don't know about something, if you haven't seen it, don't speak about it. Because when you're speaking about it, then you're spreading the slander. When you're spreading the slander, you're responsible for it. And this was especially painful for the Prophet ﷺ. Right? I mean, if you think about it, this incident could have happened with any other woman. Any other husband, wife, right? But Allah decreed that it happened with who? The Prophet ﷺ. It happened with his family. And then it could have happened with Sauda radiallahu anha, Salama. But Allah decreed that it happened with Aisha radiallahu anha. This was a huge test for the Prophet ﷺ. But with this test, they were also great darajat. Alright, everybody stand up, please. Now, I want you to discuss with the person standing next to you 2 lessons that you have learned from this incident. The incident of Ifk.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Okay, so the 2 lessons we learned are, first was that you're not supposed to speak about things that you don't know in confirmation, or even if you do know it, it's best to just conceal it rather than just saying it.
Yeah. And then when she, I think, tripped on the rock and she cursed her son, we said that it's better to remain quiet when you're angry, because when you're angry, you're going to say things you're going to regret later. So you should really think about what you're doing and not curse other people.
And remember when the Prophet ﷺ was in the Battle of Uhud, and one companion, his fingers got cut off, and he said, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you should have said, Bismillah. Right? So whether we trip or we get a cut or anything, instead of complaining and whining and cursing, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything else quickly?
Assalamu alaikum. SubhanAllah, the whole time, everything is decreed so perfectly. All of this happened because she went to the washroom and she forgot her necklace. And I was thinking, reflecting a couple of weeks ago about everything in our life that happens. It was just little decisions that we made that just came together, and everything was planned by Allah perfectly.
The fact that she was so patient, although when she came to know about it, she did not rant and rave and say, why are you all accusing me when I am innocent? She just said, can I please go to my parents' home? And she waited.
She did not even ask the Prophet ﷺ about this. When he came home, she said, please allow me to go to my parents' house. And when she went to her parents, she asked her mother, is this true? And when her mother confirmed, then she cried.
One thing I learned is that how some people, they think that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was used to know the ghaib, that he didn't know. Yes. That he was quiet and he was waiting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reveal ayahs or wahi. Because a lot of people, they think that he was used to know the ghaib.
Yes.
So this is what I learned.
Yes, it's a clear proof that he did not know the unseen. Go ahead.
Learn that the power of words, saying something that could just be a passing comment can impact someone's life and can really have a devastating impact on their emotional well-being and even the relationship between the husband and wife. So we have to just take every single word seriously.
Yes.
And also what you said, how every woman who's loved by her husband is envied by other women. I never knew that, so subhanAllah, it's something to think about.
Aisha radiallahu anha's mother said that to her. She's basically comforting her.
For someone who has, this story touches me a lot because I feel myself crying because when you go through a situation, when I heard this, it just, something like similar to this happened where I was accused of something that I didn't do. And there's no eyes that time. You get it, like, at that time, there's no revelation. So I was like, SubhanAllah, who's going to save me? And it was making me cry because I was going through this for 5 months. And actually, the person that did this to me, she found herself guilty, and then she went around and told everybody that she told the falsehood to that she was wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me in that way. So it's like Allah will help you. You just have to be patient.
Yes, you have to be patient. And look at the words of Aisha. Sabrun jameel. Wallahu musta'an ala ma tasifun.
We don't think about the severity of this type of action. We don't put ourselves in the other person's shoes when this type of talk goes on.
Mm-hmm. That this is something very serious. Accusing someone of having an affair or relationship with a non-mahram, this is serious.
And, this is such a big sin that the punishment for it is 80 lashes. And not only that, like nowadays, we hear a lot of things, we hear, things that we're not sure of, like so-and-so is having a relationship with someone else, or, this is what is going on. We don't know what's the truth, but, we spread it. We tend to spread it, and
it's a sin.
It's a sin, and if you think...
It's a criminal offense.
Yeah.
I was thinking it shows the importance to maintain self-respect when you're innocent. And even if the greatest person thinks negatively of you, as long as Allah knows well of you, then you shouldn't feel bad about yourself.
Jazakumullahu khairan.